Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lax rats alike, welcome back to another episode of the Crease Dive. And I am joined by two very, very special guests. We have the heart and soul of Upper Dublin Lacrosse. We got the pride and joy of Madison, New Jersey. We got Christian Scarpello in the booth, and we got Michael Sowers. Fellas, how you guys doing today? And thank you for coming on.
We're good, man. Thanks for having us, Ness. I love the UD intro, bro. That was awesome.
All good, brother. Thanks for having us, Matt.
Of course, man. Of course. So I got a few questions for you guys, but listen, we're 5 minutes out of the 2025 PLL draft. Two members of the PLL, Philadelphia Water Dogs. What's the temperature like in the room right now, and how you guys feeling about that draft you just had?
I mean, I think Coach T crushed it. I think, like we were talking about, there it is, baby. I think anytime you get CJ Kirst in your draft class, like, you can't go wrong. But I think we filled it out from there. I mean, I think we had some guys fall that we didn't think were going to be there, and frankly, it was like a little bit of a weird draft where people were going early, people were falling. So I think we're pumped with what we ended up with.
Yeah, I would say I think T crushed it. I think and shout out as well, assistant coach for the Dogs. But I think we hit exactly what we needed to. I would say, looking at the draft as a whole, it was surprising to see some guys get kind of drop to where they did, and other guys go quicker than probably assumed. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, love that. I felt the same way as you guys felt. I just want to dive in, no surprise, a little bit about CJ Kirst. It's all the lacrosse world's been talking about recently. You guys know more than anyone what a good lacrosse player looks like. What are you both looking forward to him bringing to your squad, and how he's going to make you guys better?
I mean, I think that's the interesting thing. That's like, it's kind of like, what doesn't he bring? Like for a number one pick, like I think he literally checks every single box, and I don't think you could ask anything more from like a guy coming in. I mean, we joke about this a lot, but the loss that we had to the Redwoods in Denver last year was probably the best loss of all time, because that locked up the Kirst pick.
I love it.
I think, and trust me, bro, we weren't tanking. But I think he just does everything. Like, he shoots the ball. He's obviously a tough cover, plays without the ball, tough as nails, rides his ass off. And by all accounts, he's the man and a great teammate. So, I think he checks all the boxes.
Yeah, I think when we first traded for Zed, I think just his versatility, right? Like, not saying that he would have been the guy out of the box, but I just, to Mikey's point, what does he not do well from an on-the-field perspective? Like, that's where, just touching on him quickly as a player, like, off-ball goals, on-ball goals, above the cage, below the cage, on the wings. I'm just fired up to have a Jersey boy, Burnersville boy. I mean, I've gotten to know Connor and Colin, and over the years, obviously, was aware of each other, just being Jersey guys like yourself, Matt. But
yes, sir.
Really got to start a relationship with the Kirst, more post-college, and especially with their little connection to Rutgers after that. So just super fired up to have CJ at camp. Like, I can't wait to just give him a hug, say congrats, and I'm fired up. I mean, I've been on the Cornell train for a while, both with him, but I also think Busick's a great coach, and
yep.
just love a lot of what Cornell brings to the table. So I hope CJ and Big Red gets it done.
Yes, sir. I'm riding that train with you. You kind of hinted at it a little bit there, Scarp. A little New Jersey pride. Again, I brought up the heart and soul of Upper Dublin. We got Mikey Sowers. Between you two, just going back to even when you're in high school, is it New Jersey lacrosse or PA lacrosse? And I'll just sort of give you guys the floor and be an unbiased judge.
I mean, I think if we're being unbiased, I think you would have to say it's Philly top to bottom. But if you're going straight Publix, it's probably North Jersey. I think Jersey Publix are deeper than Philly Publix. But I think when you bring in the Interact, I think Philly probably takes it.
Although Del Barton took down Malvern.
See, I'm out of the game, Ness. I'm basing this off of 2015, 2016.
So Scarp's the leader, the Chatham Cougars currently head coach, and as much as I stay tuned in, I'm not as tuned in with the rest of the towns and the publics or the privates. And I know there has been a lot of New Jersey and PA matchups this year. Haven't kept track, so I do see where you're coming from, Sowers, with the just basing it off. When you were lacing them up in high school, that's your knowledge of the high school game, and you got to respect that. But Scarp's in there; he's in deep. I mean,
dude, Jersey Lax is at an all-time high, man. It's an all-time high. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, both just blue blood lacrosse areas and a lot in common. I think that's something Mikey and I kind of leaned into to start in our relationship once we became teammates, and so a lot of similarities there.
Yeah. And Ness, I was out in Chatham this past weekend, and I saw firsthand the Chatham boys up on an early Saturday morning working. Yep. We had a group that Scarp was out there for how long? Like 5 hours?
Dude, so we had like a 2-hour non-traditional practice, team bonding stuff, but still like a lot of heavy on the legs. And then Sowers rolls up, talks to the team briefly, and I keep a handful of guys, and we went at it for like another 2.5 hours. So
I love it.
Those guys, shout out to those guys, and the work that we got in was definitely solid. So
the Cougars, baby, that's crazy, Sour. So you stepped on that Cougar field turf. They haven't changed that since I was there. So last game there was the state sectional semifinals dub for the fellas, and then don't get me wrong, I rushed for 1,975 yards on that turf. Right, so next time you come through the 07928, you ring Big Ness, right? I'll clear you through. We'll get the parade going and everything for you.
Hey, no to be fair, Ness, we needed a keeper, and I buzzed you. Little miscommunication there, but keep you in mind.
I would have answered the bell for you guys. It wouldn't have been the most excited I've been to get in the cage, considering your guys' level of play, but I would have answered. I would have been fired up. I would have been going real hard. You guys would be like, yo, this guy's, he might not be saving anything, but he's going hard. I would have been eating shots.
I would be more concerned with Nick Laganowicz's, right-handed cannon over Michael Sowers, But.
Really? That kid's good. I mean, what is he, only a sophomore, Scarp?
Sophomore. The other two, Gibney and Shep can sling it a little bit as well. So.
Nash, I'm like an 8-and-in guy. I'm not known for that cannon.
I actually had I did have a question on my board from the 2-point arc. How many do you think I'm getting on you from that? And I know the 2-point arc's deep.
With me shooting from the 2-point arc?
Yeah, me hopping in the cage 5 years.
I don't know, bro.
8 out of 10.
What do you think, Scarp?
8 saves.
Wow. Wow. What a rider.
Dude, that's disrespectful. I don't know. Nass, I would hope that I did better than scoring 2, but
I agree.
I don't know, bro. It is a little outside. It is a little outside the range. Although people hate on my shot, and then I always end up surprising some people. Pulling it deep lefty. I hit a 2-ball in the Champ Series lefty.
Dude, I think you might be selling yourself short a little bit. Like, I had me getting like 2 lucky ones, if that.
Oh, stop.
That's because you hear how my boys talk about my shots. So I just get like all in my head about it. I got nobody hyping me up.
No, see, I'm in your corner. I think you got to let it rip more. But it also might be a great tactic by you, kind of just playing that like, I don't have a cannon.
Yeah, and then he pulls up in a game, and it's like, listen, in a game with like a screen or something, like shooting around someone, I think he's got like just head on Sowers versus Nest. It's 80% gobbles.
Although Nest, last year when we had Dukes in the net, I was kind of sniping on him.
You were dialed. As much as I ride for my boy Dukes, I do hope that I'm a little bit better of a goalie than Dukes is. Although Dukes kind of pulled a you and was like, yo, I'm not very good. And then I warmed him up for that. And he, like, don't get me wrong, he's not exceptional. But he's a decent goalie for someone who hasn't played goalie in 10, 12 years.
Right.
I was like, dude, you're selling yourself short. Like, I thought you were going to get in there like a Poindexter and just have no clue what you're doing. But he sees the rubber.
We were smart about our order that day. If you remember, we had Conrad shoot first. and I think Conrad hit him like
Yeah.
3 times.
Well, with the
And then everybody else put in like 8.
The
Yeah,
footage is out there on YouTube, and Duke's just eating shots. He got pelted a few good times. That's a warrior, man. It takes a lot to hop in the cage during training camp when
You're
there's
spot on.
nothing at stake. So, and I hopped in for the whip snakes and got shredded, so it didn't go much better for me. But that's funny. I had a question for you, Mikey. Just dive in a little bit about your training. You know, I got moles everywhere. I have the ins. This tennis ball 3v3 training you're doing, you know, over at Limitless Philly. How is that affecting your game? And do you think tennis balls are beneficial for offensive players to practice with?
I do think so, Ness. I mean, but I think they're beneficial in a way that most people don't think about. I think for me, I play a lot of 3x and 4x. Me and Scarps played it with the Chatham boys. And really what it is like just a way to keep the decision making sharp. You know, the reality is like if you're not getting live reps in the off season, you go from like, you know, August to May without ever really like keeping your mind sharp. And 3x, 4x, if you get the right guys and it's intense, it's just an easy way to get like real time reps in a low intensity. You're not taking hits, not putting your body on the line. But you're like, if you're going to shoot, you got to shoot around people. If you're going to feed, you got to feed around people. You got to look people off, like find your 2-on-1s. So I just love it because like I'm just making decisions, you know what I mean? And that's a huge part of the game, obviously.
I love that. I was talking to Riley White, Cabrini alum, who says he's seen some shots from you, and he's over there at Limitless Philly. So I had a little insider there giving me a little tidbit on your game there. And then for you two, your Water Dogs team's a scrappy group of guys, and you're both going to have to give me a different name here. But I need your go-to guy in a bar fight, in a war, whoever you need in your foxhole. Who's your pick? And I'll give Scarp the floor since I just asked Mikey, and you can't both take the same guy. So you better have 2 on deck there, Mike.
I mean, I think we're both probably thinking the same name, but I'll let him say it first.
I don't know that I have an obvious answer. I think there's a couple directions to turn there. I mean, I would say Chris Sabia. I think he's pretty like mild tempered, but I think if he got to that point, like I've seen Sabia get serious, and then just from like a size perspective, I mean, if you need just like a loose cannon, you go Courier. You know, like that's, and I would put myself in that position, like conversation as well. But I would say Sabes or Courier.
Yeah, I was honestly going to go myself.
You gotta respect that. You gotta respect that.
I mean, if you're a man and you don't say yourself, like, what are you doing? But no, I'm kidding. I would go Courier. I mean, Courier's a psycho.
I love it. You know, I know for anyone listening, Scarp's going to hang on a little bit. Sowers does have to bounce sometime soon, so when he slides off, we'll let you guys know. But while I have you here, Mikey, we can be a little serious about the game of lacrosse and the future of it. We got the Olympics coming up in 2028. You know, both you guys being around so much talent, what do both you guys think the Olympics is going to mean for the sport of lacrosse, and just like how are you feeling like excitement-wise for, you know, just that whole process?
I mean, I think that, you know, the Olympics are like the pinnacle of sports, obviously. So I think to have the game that we're all so passionate about at that stage, I think it's huge for the game. I think from an exposure standpoint, just bringing it to new people. You know, I do think that the sixes game, while it's different, I think it does level a playing field, and I think that it allows for, you know, non-traditional lacrosse countries to be somewhat competitive, or at least field a team, you know. And I think that obviously as like sports as a whole become like global, you look at the NBA, even the NFL, you know, I think for lacrosse to grow both domestically and then internationally. Like I just think it's huge.
What about you, Scarp?
I mean, I think it's awesome. Like, there's no way you could look at getting into the Olympics and really say anything negative about it. I would say I've played in two world games now, and I do just like I think it's the international experience is just like second to none. I can't emphasize that enough. I always encourage my younger guys to, getting involved, right? So that we had these two Irish twins, try to push them to Team Ireland and mix it up a little bit. The Lagunowicz brothers are involved with Croatia. So I always push, right? My dad was a coach for Team Bermuda, the head coach for about a decade. So he also did two worlds with them. And then obviously I played for England twice. So again, I think it's that experience in itself is second to none. I do think, the Sixes style I think is fun and entertaining. I think the world's experience was second to none. But again, just to be able to get into the Olympics is awesome for the sport. Nothing negative to say about it.
What country do I? How do I get on a team? What country do I need to? Like, where do you guys see me sneaking in there? 2028. You're like, holy shit, Ness is on this team. What? I know there's so much talent in other countries, but there's got to be a country out there that's so new to the game that's going to be there that you're like, Ness, you might have a shot to hop in net there. They might have some guys who can go up and down that field, but people are always looking for goalies. So, I'm out. I'm available.
Like maybe somewhere in South America, Ness.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is Brazil suiting up for the 2028? Like
I think that's like your range that you're looking at. Like
I think so. That's fine too. Like I'd be down anything.
Listen, I know they're tightening up the restrictions for the Olympics. So I mean,
no, that's not good
unless you've got some culture to you that we don't know or can't see. You look pretty Irish from where I'm sitting, but
yeah. And I don't think those boys in Ireland. I think they're going to show up with a pretty deep roster, if we're being honest. Because I mean, Sixes is so cool because, like you mentioned, like you don't have to have 25 guys.
Yeah,
you can show up 15, 18 solid dudes and really compete. So I'm excited. I'm fired up that you guys are fired up about it too. What Mikey? Your records in Pennsylvania, a lot of people talk about, records being broken. I did a little bit of research on your career there. What's just any advice you have to like a young kid going through the game right now that you're like, hey, this is what I was doing when I was little, whether on your own or with the team, just a small bit of advice for kids on the younger side, not necessarily the college age guys.
What I always tell kids, Ness, it's like super cliche, but like you have to love the game. I think that like one of the best qualities that I had when I was younger is like I was just like such a lax rat, and I just like couldn't get enough of the game and really sports in general. And my parents did a great job. Like I wasn't allowed to play summer lacrosse until I was in 6th grade. So like I never burned out, and like my dad used to literally take my stick from me during football season, so I just focused on football. And like because of that, lacrosse season would come around and like I couldn't wait to get the stick in my hand. And I know times have changed now, but like, if you love the game, just the extra reps are never they're never gonna be a chore. And I think that like that's the issue you see with kids now, where they just they burn out and they just play too much lacrosse too early, and they lose that passion. And like at a certain point, I always felt like the people that have the stick in their hand the most, they end up the best.
Yeah.
And so I think that not burning out is a huge part of that, and it starts with just having a passion for the game.
I love that. Scarp, were you a football guy growing up, Scarp?
I was. I played all the way up until high school. Stopped playing freshman year, so didn't play in high school until my senior year. Went out for my senior year, best decision ever. Had put together a nice year. Definitely made me regret a little bit the 3 years prior, but it is what it is.
You move on. You keep
You
on
move
living.
on, bro. You can't look back too much. So
I like that. And Mikey, you use you mentioned football there. You use some of that football background you have and that knowledge for, movement and shake and whatnot. Do you bring that to the lacrosse field with you?
For sure. I mean, I think it's like a huge part of who I am as a lacrosse player, and I think it's one of the things that's made me successful as a dodger. It's like I think I dodge in like a pretty untraditional way, a way that defenders aren't really used to seeing, like matchup to matchup, and a lot of that is rooted in football movement, basketball movement. For me, like practicing my moves isn't like going out on a field and dumping the bucket of balls and doing it on air. It's like watching football games and watching receivers run routes, like spending time on YouTube. Like I could spend an entire afternoon just like watching people's highlights, like football highlight tapes, just like stealing moves, watching footwork, stuff like that. So it's definitely a huge part of like my game.
That's awesome as hell. It's funny you mentioned watching people's highlight tapes. My football tapes are out there. Matt Nessler Huddle. You get the junior year, the senior year tape all slammed together. I was more of a smash mouth ball player, but you'll see me break a couple 50-yarders in there. I will make sure to text you the link for sure, Mikey and Scarp, because I tweet that out every few.
I was gonna
months.
say, I feel like somewhere down the line, I dove in briefly.
Yeah, there's no music, no nothing. You just sit there and you watch the film. That's what it's about.
Watch
I'm a ball player.
greatness.
When I committed to Cabrini, the Coach Colfer said to me, he said, "Listen, we found your football tape. Do you have any lacrosse tape?" And I said, "No, you got to come see that. You got to come see that in person, Coach. You got to see it to believe it." Mikey, before you slide off here, just favorite city outside of Philadelphia that you've gotten to go to, traveling, and you as well, Scarp, just with the league.
I'm a Philly guy, man, but I would say my favorite city, I would say two. Every year, the Denver trip is sick.
Yep.
And we parlayed that in the past into Red Rocks, which was a blast. And
Love
then Utah, Salt Lake City is always awesome. And a lot of the guys have parlayed that into Park City. So
Wow.
I think it's these cities where I think where you could tag like a back end trip onto the back end of it.
I would say, yeah, those are great answers. So the crew for the most recent Red Rocks was me, Mikey Schlosser, and Mikey Sowers.
What do you guys see in there? What's the show there, Red Rock?
Slightly stupid every time.
Wow.
For some reason, bro, they play every time that we're there. And Mikey hated it. Like
They're brutal, Ness. Like
he did not enjoy a second of the concert.
and like it's slightly stupid is solid, and Red Rocks is unbelievable. But it's like the cover bands that lead up to them. It's like
It's a lot.
it's brutal.
But there was definitely a couple videos flying around of me, Mikey, and Mikey sharing a scooter, an e-scooter, ripping through Denver.
We're three man, one scooter, two pedalers on both sides. People were looking at us like we had like four heads.
Just fresh off the Red Rocks concert, just pedaling away.
I would say I agree with both of those, and then I would also throw Fairfield in there just because of Connor Kelly's setup.
That's a good one, Scar.
Mikey wouldn't know because he bails to the city to see his Princeton boys every time that we play in Fairfield.
No, I went this year.
All right, fair. Maybe this year. But CK is a gracious host, sick compound right outside the stadium there. So that weekend is also always a good one.
That rocks. You guys dove into a little bit of the fun after games there. Mikey, you're the only one in here who went to two colleges. I'm not going to make you choose between the two, but what's the difference in like the post-game tailgater vibe between the Princeton boys and the Duke boys? I know you're a little older at Duke, so maybe you can shine some light on what the younger cats are doing after games. You don't need to dive into too many details, but is it the same culture there, two different schools, or are you kind of seeing two different kind of vibes between those two universities?
No, I mean I think they're super similar. For me, when I was at Duke, obviously it was like middle of COVID, so it was super weird. Like we'd win games and then you'd have to go home right away. Like you really couldn't like mix too much. So I feel like I kind of got like a skewed experience there. But I mean, we still had a blast, and that was a great locker room. But then Princeton was awesome. Like you win, go back to the locker room. The tradition there is everybody goes to the Nassau Inn, the tap room, and everybody kind of hangs out there, all the players' parents, and then you kind of fill out from there. But both are great. Both are great spots, Nass.
I love that. My grandfather was actually a Princeton football player. Played with, I believe, the guy who either won the Heisman or was the runner-up for the Heisman, one of the last super legendary Princeton football running backs. So it's nice to know that the Princeton boys, that the athletes have a spot to hit afterwards. Makes me, in a different world, I think he was grabbing beers there with you. So that
I'm
rocks.
sure, dude. That place is like seen it all.
Oh, that rocks. Scarp, what about you, man? What are those post games like at Rutgers? You win a game in the
Yeah,
might be.
I'm going to jump off here before he gets into the record. All right, fellas.
Thanks for coming on, Mikey. I really appreciate your time. Good luck if I don't talk to you before the end of May.
All right, bro. See ya. Thanks, Ness. Later, bro.
Of course, brother. Enjoy, man. Floor is yours, Scarp.
Nest, thank God Mikey's off, man. He was echoing all over the place.
Yeah, hopefully the tech side of the podcast can filter that
can't
out.
figure it out, man. You should see Mikey is hysterical, man. Like, we'll get to a hotel and this guy will forget his room and floor like immediately, and we're like, dude, we all just got here. Like, how are you already lost in this hotel? Yeah, not a tech guy either, but with Rutgers, I mean, it was a very even split, I think, between like bars and house. We had two great houses. My brother was in Robinson, which was definitely more of like an evening night type of vibe, big basement, and then I had a house right across the street that connected our backyards with the baseball kids, who we got along with. So we rolled out some turf back there, and that's where we would do a lot of our day stuff and tailgating football games. I mean, it got to a point, as you know, for Rutgers football that it was hard to even make it over to Shy Stadium or Shy. But so for us, like we had a great group of parents. We would go out right outside the stadium immediately after, and then kind of work our way over. But I think in a lot of these schools, it's like whenever we go back for alumni stuff, it's like an open door policy. It's always hysterical to walk into that same house and see the new faces of young guys who are living in your old room, and always welcome with open arms. But yeah, I think pretty even split between houses and then going out to the bars.
I love that. I wish I could relate a little bit more to going back to the university and seeing, who's
struck a
been
chord
there.
Struck a chord.
I just I have experienced it for a year, and it was a year, 2 years technically, and it was fun. I totally know what you're saying. Going back and like seeing that like next generation is always really cool. Especially, I lived in one house the 3 years I was at Cabrini. And then, like, we kind of just, like, passed that along to, like, a whole other group of degenerates. And it's just, like, so awesome to go back and just be like, wow. Not only does it look exactly the same, it smells the same. Like, the doors are still off hinges. Like, you're just playing lacrosse. You're hanging with the fellas. And as long as you have a meal and a couple beverages, whether it be a water or beer, you're pretty much set at that point. I think
100%.
That's the standard. And I think a similarity between almost every
college lacrosse experience, absolutely. Yo, tell me about Steve Cole for a little bit. Obviously, I don't know if you know, but I referenced Team Bermuda earlier, but he was on staff with my dad at Bermuda. They also coached together collegiately, with some overlap. But talk to me about Colfer.
Dude, he's me and Colfer. What a roller coaster me and that guy had. For any of the Cabrini boys listening, they know what I'm talking about. He's an interesting guy. He really knows the game of lacrosse. He's really dedicated to the game of lacrosse. But when you're one of his players, you just get to see that side of him that as you get older, you start to appreciate. I think a lot of times when coaches are a certain way, whether it's good or bad, as time goes on, you appreciate them for just what they were doing. And my relationship was always funny. You know, a lot of back and forth between me and him. You know, I wasn't shy to give him a little something, and he wasn't shy to give it right back. So I'm really appreciative of him. But when I went back for my 5th year as a 24-year-old, that's when I really got to know Steve Colfer and not just like Coach Colfer.
Yeah. No,
Get a
I think
little,
what you said has a lot of merit to it. I mean, I think a lot of guys would tell you that. Like, the older you get, the more you look back and you're like, well, no wonder this guy was up in arms, or
yeah,
you know, like it's true across the board. And no, it's good to hear. I mean, I know Colf is at Episcopal, so he's
yep.
at the high school level now. So maybe reel it back just a little bit. But
Oh yeah.
nah, you hit a good point there. I think yeah, as you get older, you realize like, all right, maybe there was a little bit of merit there. And
Yep. And like seeing it from the end of like, I never really got to play out my senior year because of COVID. So you know you get a little bit more of a leash every year you're on a team. As a freshman, you're here, and then sophomore, you're more and more. And I think me, like my grade and my friends, we never got to experience that full. We were, the leash is gone when you're a senior. You know, you're in charge, you're making decisions. You know, you can go right into the coach's office and tell them kind of what's good. Like as a team, you know, we kind of always had captains, but obviously like that senior class acted as like a unit, and we never really got that. So I never got that final chapter with Colfer. Never got to close that initial book. So going back for my 5th year was just so awesome to like get to know him a lot better and have that leash, and really just it was less of a coach and a player relationship and more just like we're two guys trying to win.
I love that, bro.
It's not easy always, but yeah, he's funny. I definitely had my fair share of times where I deserved every bit I got,
sure.
especially on game days as a goalie. You know, I can lose my shit. I'm even cool before the game. I'm usually pretty good. I might chirp a little bit and get into it, but when things get hot during a game, as I'm sure you know, based on what I've seen from you, like sometimes just something takes over and you just turn into someone. Not that I don't like. I love it about me. I always loved that person I became when shit hit the fan. You kind of need a guy like that as long as they can keep it in check and not blow a fuse too much where you're getting kicked out of games and unnecessary whatever penalties. But I was definitely the guy that was short fused and always kind of close to erupting as games got chippy and as games came to a close. So it was always fun, man. He kept me in check a little bit. And,
That's good to hear.
It's always been cool. And it's cool that you have a background with him as well. You know, that he's coached with your pops. I actually wanted to ask you, you're a Madison guy. You know, for those who don't know, Madison, New Jersey, right next to Chatham, New Jersey, where I grew up. You know, town rivals. Some would say, with the way sports have gone nowadays, they don't even play each other in football anymore. So it's hard to be a rivalry when you don't play football against each other. But so Scarp grew up right there, local guy in Jersey, dad coached locally. Did that play a huge part in you going to Rutgers, or was that sort of just a product of recruiting and ended up there?
Nah, to be honest, and yeah, it's funny, man. Like I always tell this story, but I was a super prideful high school kid, about Madison, like through and through. My friend group is one of my best friends is like, the biggest townie that you could imagine, and a lot of us are still local, and ton of pride coming out of Madison. Referencing that football question before, honestly, part of the reason I didn't play football when I was an underclassman was because we had Justin Goodwin, who went on to play at Rutgers, and the Lassiter twins. We had a lot of guys playing the skilled positions that I would have played, and they were phenomenal. We won 3 state championships in a row. My brother was on the team for all 3 of them, did not lose. Yeah, I think we still have the longest winning streak in Jersey, but I was so prideful in attending games and being a part of the fandom for one part of Madison, right? Like, I was always like, let's get people to the game. Let's get people to the game. So trying to drive that social aspect of it. But super prideful in Madison. If you told me as a high schooler that I would end up wearing a C on my chest ever, I would have fought you right then and there. And it's the friend I'm referencing, like, I can't wear anything with a C on it when I go over to his crib still. So, come a long way. Like, I've got so much admiration and appreciation for the community that Chatham is, and so fortunate to be able to be the head of this program. But it was such a weird initial year or two, just kind of making that transition. But obviously, I iron things out now.
That's always good to hear. You know, Scarp took over after a long time. There was a stint in between longtime coach Tony Calandra, and so there was a 3-month stint with another coach, and Scarp's been the leader of those Chatham Cougars ever since. So it's always good to have a friend that I'm now able to call Scarp a friend for multiple reasons, and the main one being that he's the leader of the Cougs. You know, it's always great to see, you know, just how much you actually do for Chatham, and it's kind of cool that you mentioned how much pride you have for Madison, and I've seen that like spill over into you being a coach. I've been out of Chatham for 9 years now, and we've had one golf outing, and that was organized by, you know, you, and you kind of are big on getting the alumni back involved and getting people to games. And I think that's like, it's really cool. You know, you don't need to be a high school lacrosse junkie. Like I barely consume any high school lacrosse, but like when I see someone with the Cougars, I'm tuning in. Like when I see Scarp posting about him on Twitter, I'm tuning in. If I can catch a live stream or drive by and catch a game, like hopefully I will be next Tuesday, hopefully. And it's just really cool to see the direction you put Chatham in. And then this year specifically, you know, you got those boys humming, and having guys like Michael Sowers come by practice isn't just like a cool like thing for the kids, but like it's super beneficial to show them like this is real. Like if you want to go play at the next level, like you can start right here. One of the best players in the world is on your turf right now. He's really good friends with your head coach. You know, the game of lacrosse is small. And
For
if
sure.
you really want to go and get it, like you can.
I think 100%, bro. And I think I appreciate what you're saying. And just to touch on it, I mean, as you mentioned, like, I'm a realist. Not everyone's sitting around. I wouldn't even know before I became a high school coach, like where to, you know, check scores or find out information. So part of that, and with a large help from Kim Flynn, just recreating the alumni database, right? So we started to track down emails. I said, yeah, let's start getting out updates because, again, unless it comes across your lap, you're not really finding it. So I was like, I think there are people who care and want to follow and support. Yep. It's just they don't have it at their fingertips. So that was a big part of the alumni bulletin, and then all the stuff that I've done since, including the golf outing, which should be an absolute rage this time around.
Yes, sir.
Pushed it back a little bit so we can get the current college kids involved, and but yeah, ton of pride and. What I've been able to kind of create over 4 years and build on, really, because obviously Chatham's always been a blue blood.
Hell yeah, brother. I love it. Let's, before you hop off, you want to just kind of dive through who you got winning it all this year, and maybe you see any upsets this weekend you like? I could walk you through some of the games.
Talk to me about some of them, yeah.
So we got, North Carolina, Richmond. That
could go either way.
Could go either way. I think that's. I don't have the odds up. Let me look up our friends over at DraftKings.
I'll tell you right now. Like I said, I'm all in on Cornell. Like I just
love it.
Bias or not, I think they're good enough to get it done. So that's who I'm certainly pulling for. I can tell you that right now. I think some of the seeding stuff, like I don't know. I've always felt like a little bit odd about the committee and how these tournaments form. Obviously. At Rutgers, my sophomore year, beating Hopkins twice, once at home in the regular season and then in the semifinals in the Big Ten tournament at Hopkins, by the way, who was hosting the tournament, and then not getting a bid was super hard. I think you're seeing more and more of teams that feel a little bit left out potentially, and then also just the seeding thing. Obviously, everyone's talking about Ohio State, Notre Dame. Budgeting, travel, all that comes into play. So I'm not sitting here saying I have an answer, but it seems, like
there's something that can be.
There's always going to be something. So
yeah, I hate the NCAA. I hate the NCAA as a whole a lot. So I don't even try to waste time diving into the decisions they're making or why they're making them. I understand them. I get RPI. I get strength of schedule. I get the travel. I understand the process, and kind of like you said, I don't have an answer, but it's okay to still be like the process is broken in ways.
Yeah, we could get better. Like, let's continue to look at it, right? Like,
yeah.
Who does Colgate have? Because I love a nice little Cinderella story.
Colgate is battling Penn State.
Penn State, yeah.
So listen, if if that Penn State goalie's on and he's dialed, it's gonna be tough for Colgate to get by them. If they can get hot, maybe. But I'm expecting a big day out of Penn State. I think they kind of have a lot to prove, being kind of right on the edge the last few years. I think there's a little bit of chatter in the background about that team. I think they're going to use that to kind of come out the gates, beat up on Colgate. I'm looking for that Penn State goalie to get really hot, and as good as I think Colgate is, and I tried to give them their flowers this year after kind of being a little wishy-washy on them in years past. This year they brought it, and I think Colgate's taken a huge step that programs have
For
been trying
sure.
to take for years.
For sure, where they're at is and how they got here, right? The most recent performance was sick, right? So I mean, I think Penn State's a tough draw. I'm pretty big on Penn State too. I'm a huge Trainer fan. Jack, was obviously with the Dogs for a little while. Great, can't speak highly enough about him. And then just watching his brother Matt play this year, I mean, he's phenomenal. Talking to teammates and some coaches and whatever about this upcoming draft, that his name is the first that kept, besides obviously CJ, that kept coming to mind. I'm like, this kid is just a stud. And I just love their PA boys, and tough, and Jack was the man. So a lot of respect for the Trainers, and see what Penn State does.
And I think our game of the weekend here, Scarp, I think everyone is just going to be. This is like one of those games you get a sandwich, you get it before the game, you're not getting up, besides maybe to grab a beer or two during halftime. Ohio State, Notre Dame, listen, Kavanaugh, sliding a little bit in the draft. Whether he's going to come out and say it or not, that's just pissed him off. Whether he's going to be thinking about that for a day or two, no, I don't know how he operates, but for sure he's thinking in his head, fuck them, fuck this, you're going to slide on me, bet. Here we go, I still got time to play. That Notre Dame team's scary. I've said all year I don't think they're as good as they were the last 2 years. I've been very clear. I think their offense at times gets just shut down, and they go on, 12 to 20-minute runs where they'll score one goal. But that does not mean by any means that this team can't go out and win a national championship. I think they are the last team, specifically not ranked, in the tournament that anyone wants to see.
Yeah, it's a tough draw. I mean, listen, I think that game, first round, I don't think Notre Dame's going to get there. But obviously, can they win a first-round game? Absolutely. Can they win multiple games? Yes. So we'll see. I mean, super tough draw for anyone, especially Ohio State.
Not good. Not good if you're Ohio State.
Good.
You finally get in.
I would be fuming, bro.
I mean, you get in, you win the Big Ten. You're in this spot where finally we got over the hump.
Big Ten regular season and the Big Ten tournament.
Yep.
And
And your reward's playing the two-time defending national champs.
Craziness.
And like you hinted at, like, the committee kind of picks and chooses like who plays who in a way and they kind of bail themselves out with the not seeding the other 8. They can just kind of slide you wherever. Yeah. So I'm with you, man. I'd love for someone who's a decision maker to fucking come out and say something one day. Be like, I'll come on and talk about all the decisions we make. Like, let's be an open book. Like we said earlier, it's a small world, the lacrosse world.
It is.
I just lost you. You still here? There we go. So I mean, I'm with you. I think Cornell. I'm a huge just Curse family guy, but I'm also I'm in admiration of CJ Curse's game, and I do think he deserves to win it. I think he's put in so much work, and everything kind of has accumulated to this moment. The number 1 seed, winning the Ivy League the way they did, where at a certain point when they were playing Princeton, it was like, oh shit, is Cornell about to get, thrashed a little bit right before going into the tourney and expose themselves? And then the offense just said, you can score as many goals as you want, we're just going to score more.
We're going to outscore you, yeah.
So,
and again, dude, I think Busick's a hell of a young coach, and obviously an alumni there. Like, that's always a cool storyline. What he's done is super impressive. A lot of respect.
Well, Scarp, I really appreciate you coming on, brother. I know the listeners are going to be pumped to hear from you, and as well as Sowers. I'll be dialed into the Chatham Lacrosse, and for anyone who wasn't watching, I was wearing my Philadelphia Water Dogs hat out of.
I got a Birds hat on here. Go
yes,
Philly,
sir. Just
baby.
that's called being a team guy. I always tell Scarp, I'll tweet at him on game days. Listen, I'm rooting for you today, but if he's suiting up against the Cannons, at a certain point I draw the line, and I'll tweet at him, hey Scarp, good luck today. I'm not rooting for you, but this is where I'm at. And every other game day, I'm on those Water Dogs.
Hey.
So,
honesty is all we can hope for, right?
Yes, sir. Guys, if you want to tap in with Scarp anywhere, just follow some of the Chatham Boys Lacrosse stuff on Instagram. I'm not sure if they got Twitter, and then hit up Scarp. I know he bouncing around on Twitter every once in a while. I'm not sure.
The coffee tweets are all time, huh?
He'll hit you with a nice coffee tweet every week or two, and I didn't have the heart to tell him this when he was talking to me in person. I've never had a sip of coffee.
Oh my God.
And he was talking to me about the color, and I understand the color part, but he got into the taste, and I sort of just went along with the conversation. I felt bad that I did it, but I knew at some point I was going to tell you, and I figured doing it in front of others where there's witnesses was the best place to do it. So I wanted to apologize to you for taking you for a ride there.
I'm dying. I take you as like a 4-cup-a-day guy.
No cap.
That's just natural energy. You're bringing natural energy every day. That's respect, man.
Yes, sir. I try my best. Don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, I'll go chase the kids away who might be smoking reefer down the block. But other than that, nothing for me to get me going. So, Scarp, I appreciate you, man. Super cool you came on, and I'm gonna wrap up when you slide off. So feel free, and if you have any parting words or anything, feel free to say them.
Nah, Matt, I appreciate it, man. Love what you guys do. The coverage of lacrosse in general is at an all-time high, and the energy you bring around it is appreciated. And obviously, Chatham alum, we'll be in touch, obviously, here. But to everybody else, appreciate it. Yeah, you guys listening, and we'll be catching up, Ness.
Sounds good, Scarp. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you.
Peace, man. And the show goes on, baby. Now it's just Nest. We just lost 90% of our listeners right there. I kind of said everything that needed to be said. No need for a 15-minute monologue of me just gnawing on my own teeth, trying to think about what to say. I really love that we got those guys on the night of the draft. Just appreciative of their time and them sliding on. So thank you to those guys, and thanks to Dukes and Jordy as well, as always, for giving me the platform. You guys rock, and those boys will be back soon. Don't even think about sleeping on it. We're just, again, like I say every episode, life's busy. Again, man, life's very busy. So I'm happy to give you guys a little something to listen to, a little episode, and don't be afraid to give me feedback. I got some feedback the last 2 episodes. I always appreciate it. Anyone who's given feedback, feel free to give more. If you haven't, feel free. If you fucking hate me, just hit me up. Be like, yo, I fucking hate your guts. I love that. If you're prideful about something, just say it. And if you're a Stevenson guy that made it this far in the podcast, I hate your fucking coach, and he's a fucking loser. And that's really it. Salisbury, baby, by the way. Shout out the Burry. Undefeated regular season. Connor Haraz. Oh, the prophet has arrived. The prophecy is going to be fulfilled. And the Salisbury Seagulls are going to host the 2025 National Championship. And Hezzy will be a national champion. That guy deserves it. Number 31 on Salisbury. Cabrini blood. That kid's special. He cares about the game in a way that a lot of people don't. And his pride for the teams he plays for is super cool. And I'm watching Hezzy. I know Joe's going to send you this clip. Shout out Joe. Joe Schmo. But, that's my D3 talk for the week. And hopefully Lynchburg rolls Stevenson. If not, CNU will roll Stevenson. I love the D3 world. I love the grit. I love the grind. But similar to high school lacrosse, and I just don't have eyes on D3 as much. I keep up with the rankings. I keep up with, who's moving well, who's dropping out the rankings, But I don't have the heart in me to watch all of the D3 games. I'm always a D3 guy at heart. I'll always be tapped in, but I don't want anyone to think I'm not giving D3 coverage by choice. It's just simply I'm not consuming enough D3 lacrosse to give you guys something worthwhile. But I know there's people out there on Twitter. There's guys who are gonna give you D3 knowledge on podcasts. You know, if you're gritty and grimy for the D3 and you want some of that, you can go and get it. And I'll try to look for the names of those exact podcasts and shoot them over to you guys. But we'll always touch in. But I just know there's some guys out there looking for some more D3 love, and I don't have it in me to grind these other schools outside of just the ones I hate and the ones my boys are playing for right now. And that's just Honest Hour with Ness, baby. That's just Honest Hour. I know most of you guys are tuning in for D1 Talk and Pro Talk, so I appreciate all that. And for all you D3 grinders out there, just keep grinding. You know, I would have loved for someone to give me a couple shouts on the pod when I was a D3 grinder, so maybe next spring we'll do a D3 gritty guy of the week, and we'll get it going that way. Give some D3 love, but for May, it's Salisbury over everything. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, and that's sort of what's happening right here with Salisbury. So there we go, baby. And shout out the Villanova boys, specifically my boy PJ Hewitt. Lacrosse career came to an end this past week. They lost in the Big East Finals. What a guy, man. 5 years at Cabrini, 1 year at Villanova. Works harder than anyone I know. Let me live with him in his bedroom when I was a 24-year-old coming back to play at Cabrini. He put a roof on my head, literally. I wouldn't have been able to go back without him. His family's unbelievable. He's the oldest of the group. He's got a younger brother that's a weapon. His sisters are absolute demons on the field. It's a really great group that the Hewitts got over there. So shout out Mr. and Mrs. Hewitt. Love you guys, Peach. Love you, brother. Congrats on a great career. And, you know, everyone that's been listening to Crease Dive, and if you're still listening, I appreciate you tons. I love you guys. And we'll be keeping it low to high till the day we die. We out.